30 years of my career.
Robert.
30 years of my career. Y'all trying to kill me.
Yo, fam, the streets were already talking before Robert even touched daylight, and the second he stepped out, chaos popped off fast. He barely had time to breathe before the noise got crazy loud, cameras flashing, people yelling, all eyes locked in. This whole moment, it played out like a wild movie scene. We're talking cigar lounge rumors, appeals that didn't land, and that intense time locked away. It all built up to this one day. February 25th, 2019 wasn't just another Monday, it flipped into a headline-grabbing spectacle. After sitting about 4 days in Cook County Jail over serious state charges tied to 4 alleged victims, including underage individuals, a woman from the Chicago suburbs came through and dropped that $100,000 bond. Around 5:25 p.m., those heavy jail doors finally opened, and just like that, he was out. For the moment. But what happened next? That's the part the internet refuses to forget. He didn't just walk out quietly, he slid off in a black van, low-key but not really, because everybody was watching. About 30 minutes later, that same van pulled up at the Rock and Roll McDonald's in Chicago's River North, turning a fast food stop into a full-on viral moment.
I was describing Lucifer. I'm not Lucifer. I'm a man. I make mistakes.
Yo, fam, out of every place a freshly released man could hit, he really pulled up for chicken nuggets and Big Macs like nothing major just happened. He hopped out, cool as ever, signing autographs, shaking hands, and posing for selfies like it was some kind of fan event. One person even shouted, "I love you," and he waved back with a grin like this was all regular. But that McDonald's stop, that wasn't even the main scene everyone kept replaying. From those golden arches, the whole crew slid over to Big's Mansion, a flashy cigar lounge sitting right in Chicago's upscale Gold Coast area. Inside, he kicked back for hours, cigars in hand, acting unbothered while serious legal trouble was heating up outside those doors. That whole run, jail exit, fast food stop, then straight to a luxury lounge, all in one night, turned into the image people couldn't stop talking about. It felt unreal, like the script wrote itself. And it didn't end there. Months later, on Easter Sunday, April 21st, 2019, TMZ spotted him again outside his Trump Tower condo in Chicago. There he was, standing next to a Rolls-Royce, holding a massive cigar like he was starring in a crime movie, smoking it the whole way down while talking on his phone like everything was smooth. Headlines were saying he looked completely unbothered, almost carefree, like nothing serious was closing in on him.
Lies that you're hearing that disturb you most?
Oh my God, all of them. Got little girls trapped in the basement.
Meanwhile, real issues were stacking up. Legal pressure, financial disputes, but you wouldn't guess it from how he carried himself out in public. Right around that same time, Robert sat down with Gayle King for that now infamous CBS interview, and things got intense fast. When she pressed him about the allegations, he didn't hold back at all. His reaction turned explosive, full of emotion, raised hands, and strong denials as he pushed back hard against being labeled in such a serious way. That interview captured him at full intensity, loud, defensive, and clearly frustrated. And that's what makes the whole situation stick in people's minds. One minute he's emotional on national TV, the next he's casually out grabbing fast food like it's just another day. That sharp contrast is exactly why those clips keep blowing up online again and again. Fast forward a few years, and the difference hits even harder. The autograph signings, the cigars, the luxury car moments, all of it clashes with the reality of him now serving time in federal prison with a projected release date of December 21st, 2045. That gap between past and present has turned into non-stop viral content. TikTok, Instagram Reels, X, Facebook, you name it, it's everywhere. Some people even twist old clips, reposting them with claims about new releases or pardons. PolitiFact stepped in back in 2024 to confirm he remains incarcerated, calling out how that 2019 footage keeps getting recycled with misleading captions.
My mind's telling me no, but my body's telling me yes.
Yo fam.
Some of those clips don't even stay original anymore. People remix them with fake subtitles or layer in AI-generated prison-style songs just to push the story further. It gets wild how far things get stretched for views. That Trump Tower cigar moment especially keeps popping up in memes, usually side by side with other over-the-top cigar clips. Even as recently as April 2026, people on X were still joking about it anytime someone showed up smoking something massive. The McDonald's footage hits a different nerve too, especially when people connect it to claims discussed in the surviving R.Kelly documentary about him approaching teenage girls at certain locations. That connection keeps the conversation heated every time the clip resurfaces. Then, early 2026 came around, and once reports started spreading that his projected release date was December 21st, 2045, social media went into overdrive. Instagram Reels and TikTok flooded with those old 2019 cigar lounge clips, captions like, "This was him last time he was free," taking over timelines everywhere. Some posts even pushed false stories about early release, forcing fact-checkers to jump in quick and shut it down. And behind all the viral chaos, his legal team has been working non-stop, trying every possible move to turn things around. His legal team, including attorneys like Jennifer Bonjean and Beau Brindley, really went through every possible move in the book trying to turn things around, but the outcomes stacked up heavy against him. In 2021, the New York case landed hard with a 30-year sentence tied to racketeering and sex trafficking. Then in 2022, Chicago added another 20 years connected to child exploitation material, with one of those years set to run back-to-back. When you break it all down, it comes out to an effective sentence of about 31 years, with a projected release date set to December 21st, 2045. By that time, he'd be nearing 79 years old, which really puts the long-term impact into perspective. The appeals process didn't slow down either. They took it all the way up through the system. On February 12, 2025, the Second U.S. Circuit of Court of Appeals unanimously upheld the New York conviction and that full 30-year sentence. The judges made it clear they found no solid ground in the arguments presented and stated he had used his status over decades in ways that crossed serious lines.
I have no idea that there's two different men. That there's the person, Robert, there's the persona, R.Kelly.
Over in Chicago, the Seventh Circuit reviewed the separate case and upheld that conviction too, closing another door. Then came the final reach, the Supreme Court. October 2024, request denied. Another petition in May 2025 got shut down on June 23, 2025, making it clear those direct appeal paths were finished. And through all of this, his public stance, especially from earlier interviews, continued to show him pushing back and denying the claims. But even after all that, his team didn't back off. They kept pushing hard with bold moves. In August 2025, they filed a motion trying to disqualify the entire U.S. Attorney's Office from the case. That's a massive ask, and Judge Martha Picold shut it down, saying it didn't meet the legal standard and calling the move extreme. Then came one of the most shocking claims yet. In June 2025, they dropped an emergency motion alleging that 3 Bureau of Prisons officials were involved in a murder-for-hire plot, supposedly trying to recruit an Aryan Brotherhood inmate to target Robert. They also raised claims about mail interference and misuse of attorney-client communications, taking things to another level of intensity. Attorney Beau Brindley even held a press conference, framing the situation as Robert exposing corruption, drawing comparisons to broader political concerns that have been talked about publicly. The team went as far as directly appealing to former President Trump for clemency, skipping the usual legal channels entirely. But that didn't land either. Judge Picold denied the request, pointing out she didn't even have jurisdiction since Robert is being held in North Carolina, not Chicago. Prosecutors didn't hold back, calling the claims unrealistic and not grounded in evidence.
I have been assassinated. I have been buried alive, but I'm alive.
Looking back at that earlier Gayle King interview, you can see a pattern in how he presented himself, pushing a narrative where he positioned himself as being treated unfairly. And even now, the length of the sentence keeps people divided, fam. Some advocates for victims argue that 30 years still doesn't match the scale of the harm described over decades, especially with multiple individuals involved, including underage victims. On the flip side, some commentators argue that a 30-year sentence feels heavy for crimes that didn't involve homicide, and they question how RICO laws were applied to a solo artist instead of a more traditional group operation. But the sentencing judges weren't seeing it that way at all. They focused on what they described as a calculated pattern over 25 years, pointing to repeated behavior and a clear disregard for the impact on others. Fast forward to mid-February 2026, and Robert was right back in serious trouble again. He ended up in solitary confinement, what federal facilities call the Special Housing Unit at FCI Butner Medium I. And the reason? It all started with a cell search after his cellmate got caught with a contraband phone, which immediately raised alarms. During that search, officials found a notebook belonging to Robert that had the personal phone number of a retired prison official, a former warden. Now, on the surface, that might not sound like a major issue, but inside a federal facility, that kind of detail gets flagged fast. Here's where it gets complicated. Robert had reportedly been involved in a prison mentoring program that this former warden helped oversee. Before retiring, the official allegedly gave him that personal number to stay in contact about the program. Attorney Beau Brindley pushed the point that this connection was legitimate and not hidden. But prison authorities didn't see it that way. Finding that number, especially during a search tied to a contraband phone, set off serious security concerns, and they treated it as a potential violation right away. Officials launched an internal investigation and moved Robert into the SHU as a precaution, locking everything down while they sorted it out. According to Brindley, those conditions hit hard. Inmates in the SHU spend around 23 hours a day inside their cells, with barely any access to commissary, phone calls, visits, recreation, or programs. For nearly 2 weeks, he was cut off from all of that while sitting in isolation. That moment hits different when you remember his past interview with Gayle King, where he got emotional and said, "I need help." Now here he was again, in a situation that had people talking from every angle. By mid-March 2026, the investigation wrapped up, and officials said they didn't find any wrongdoing. Robert was moved back into the general population, but his legal team wasn't quiet about it. Brindley called the extended time in isolation unfair and without real justification, pushing back hard on how it was handled. Reports from outlets like Black Enterprise picked up the outcome and added more attention to the situation. As expected, the Bureau of Prisons kept things tight and declined to comment on the details, which is standard for internal security matters. Online reactions? Completely split and loud. Supporters in the Free R.Kelly crowd went all in, flooding posts with outrage and theories about him being targeted, claiming officials were trying to interfere with his legal efforts. On the other side, critics and advocates for those affected responded with everything from sharp sarcasm to outright dismissal, with comments like, "He deserves worse," while others pointed back to the seriousness of his convictions. And through it all, those past interview moments where he hinted at needing deeper support kept resurfacing in the conversation. But fam, that whole solitary situation in February 2026, that wasn't even his first time dealing with life behind those prison walls. The story runs way deeper than that, and what's been happening inside the federal system feels like a full-on drama series. We're talking fights, alleged plots, and non-stop tension on the inside. R.Kelly has been in federal custody since July 2019, and his time locked up has been anything but quiet.
He first landed at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in downtown Chicago, and things reportedly got intense almost right away. Not long after arriving, he ended up in the Special Housing Unit again. His legal team initially pushed the idea that it wasn't justified, but other reports suggested a different angle. According to those accounts, Robert himself had asked for protective housing because he feared for his safety around other inmates. Given the kind of charges he was facing, that concern wasn't taken lightly, and solitary was seen as the safer route at the time.
By September 2019, attorney Stephen Greenberg confirmed that Robert had been moved out of the SHU and placed either into general population or with a cellmate. That shift became a key point later on. Prosecutors would go on to mention in court filings that he did have a cellmate for a period, pushing back against claims that he had been stuck in isolation for long stretches without cause. So even before any verdicts were locked in, his time behind bars was already getting complicated, with different sides telling very different versions of what was really going on. Then August 2020 hit, and that's when things exploded into headlines after Robert got straight up attacked inside. Yo, fam, reports say he was either asleep or just sitting on his bed in his MCC Chicago cell when another inmate, Jeremiah Shane Farmer, suddenly came in and went at him. Farmer wasn't just any inmate either. He was a convicted Latin Kings member already serving life for a double murder. According to reports, he threw multiple punches at Robert, hitting his head and body before guards finally stepped in. Verbal commands didn't work, so one officer had to use pepper spray to shut it down. When it was over, Robert was left with cuts, bruises, and minor injuries. Serious moment, but nothing life-threatening considering how bad it could have been. The timing made everything even tenser. The facility was already dealing with lockdowns, and some reports suggested Farmer was frustrated with ongoing restrictions, including those connected to COVID-19 measures and outside protests tied to Robert's case. After the attack, Robert was moved right back into the SHU, this time for his own protection. His attorneys, Tom Farinella, Doug Anton, and Steve Greenberg, spoke out fast, demanding he be released on bail, arguing the prison couldn't guarantee his safety. But here's where it takes another turn. Farmer later filed a handwritten motion in court, claiming that staff at MCC had either allowed the situation to happen or didn't do enough to stop it, raising serious questions about what really went down inside those walls. He went even further with it, claiming officials actually told him to carry out the attack to bring attention to his own separate case. According to Farmer, guards were nearby, watched things unfold, and didn't step in right away, letting it go on longer than it should have. Those are serious accusations, but prosecutors and prison officials quickly pushed back, calling the claims completely unfounded. And here's the twist. Farmer didn't face additional major charges specifically tied to the assault in widely reported updates, largely because he was already serving a life sentence. So legally, the situation didn't shift much for him, even with all the attention. At that time, MCC Chicago was already under heavy scrutiny. Reports pointed to violence, staffing shortages, and rough conditions inside, issues so serious they eventually led to parts of it being shut down. Robert's legal team leaned hard on this incident in repeated bail requests, arguing he wasn't safe inside, but every single attempt still got denied. The situation sparked a bigger debate, too. Some people questioned whether he was receiving special treatment, while others argued the opposite, that he wasn't being protected enough given the nature of his convictions. By early 2023, after sentencing wrapped up, Robert was transferred to FCI Butner Medium 1 in North Carolina, a medium security prison known for housing a wide range of offenders. That move set the stage for another major situation. Then, June 10, 2025 hit and things escalated again. Not long after his legal team filed an emergency request for temporary release or home confinement, he was placed right back into the SHU, adding another intense chapter to the timeline. That emergency motion came packed with explosive claims. His legal team alleged there was a full-on murder-for-hire plot involving Bureau of Prisons officials who were supposedly trying to recruit a white supremacist Aryan Brotherhood inmate to target Robert. On top of that, they raised accusations about mail interference, saying it was being used to pressure or intimidate witnesses, and even claimed attorney-client privilege had been violated through information tied to a cellmate. They didn't stop there. His attorneys argued that putting him in the SHU was actually retaliation, not just a precaution. And while he was in solitary, things allegedly took an even darker turn. Around June 12th and 13th, his legal team claimed prison staff gave him an overdose-level amount of his prescribed anxiety and sleep medication, far beyond what he was supposed to receive. According to their account, he collapsed, struggled to reach his cell door, and then lost consciousness before being rushed by ambulance to Duke University Hospital in Durham, North Carolina. Doctors treated him for serious issues, including blood clots in his lungs, and he stayed hospitalized for about 2 days. But here's where it gets even more intense. His team claimed he was taken out of the hospital before finishing treatment, allegedly against medical advice and under armed supervision, then sent straight back to solitary confinement. After that, reports say he became fearful about what he was being given, even refusing some prison meals over concerns about being poisoned. He also made a comparison to Jeffrey Epstein's death in custody, saying he felt safer back in a regular cell than in those conditions, adding another layer of tension to an already serious situation. And through all of this, the official response stayed tight and controlled. Prosecutors pushed back hard on those extreme claims, calling them unsupported and lacking real evidence. The Bureau of Prisons kept things locked down too, sticking to their usual move of not commenting on internal security situations, which only made the situation feel even more mysterious to people watching from the outside. Meanwhile, the public split into two loud sides again. Supporters kept riding for him, saying something deeper had to be going on behind those walls, pointing at every detail like proof of a bigger setup. On the other side, critics weren't buying it at all, arguing the claims were distractions from the convictions and the long list of rulings that already held up in court. At the end of the day, this whole saga, from viral McDonald's stops to courtroom battles, from luxury cigars to solitary confinement, keeps unfolding like a story that refuses to slow down. And with years left on his sentence, every new twist is guaranteed to spark another wave of headlines, debates, and clips across the internet. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe, drop a like, share this video, and let your thoughts fly in the comments.